This is Holly Mack for GetYourRockOut.com, and I'm extremely happy to be here interviewing RJ from Halestorm again. Hello.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, so it's been a year, a very busy year for you.
A little bit.
Just a bit. So last year you were at the Manchester Academy having a chat. This year we're at the Manchester Apollo. So
At the Apollo!
At the Apollo! So like it's perfect.
It's a really big place.
It's huge.
It's magic. I'm in there sound checking. It's like... and I'm all like, oh, how are we going to fill this place? I'm like nervous, and then everyone's telling me like, no, the sales are looking good.
It's
amazing.
Sold out? Or very, very close to selling out. If you haven't sold out, I know you're...
They were projecting that it's highly possible that it's going to sell out tonight, so I'm just like, I'm over the moon about it. I'm so stoked.
Brilliant. So this past year, like I said, it's been really busy. Did you have a nice wedding?
I did.
Last year we talked about the fact
that
you were engaged.
This is how kick-ass my chick is, man. She got me a wedding band in the shape of a snare drum.
Oh, that's good. All the way up.
You see that? Okay, pull back a bit. We're going to get this angle, goddammit. All right, we got it. No, my chick is so badass, man. She's an amazing singer, amazing songwriter, and I'm just inspired every day just to be with her. So,
Are you getting to see your wife? Is it a bit long tour?
It's
really
such
long
a drag.
tour, this one as well.
As much as I love being out here, like it's still it sucks being away.
Yeah.
So. But sometimes I get to fly her out. Like mostly in the States, it's easier. Overseas, a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
But, not able to do it this tour because she's actually finishing up her record.
Oh yeah, Violet.
Oh yeah, well, now they're called True Violet.
Oh, they're called True Violet.
Yeah. Apparently Violet was taken or something. They're like, all right, we don't want to go through a legal battle. And now I like the new name better. So I think it's a little bit more. It's easier to Google. If you just if you just search for the band Violet in Google.
There's quite a lot coming up.
Yeah, well, the Wilson guys, because we're on tour with Wilson, they're saying like, oh yeah, try Googling our band. It's impossible. First thing that pops up is the volleyball from passed away. Wilson. But yeah, I think next we're going to be over here again at the end of the year. I'm going to fly her out to some of the shows. And she's got a lot of mutual fans for her band out here.
Yeah.
And they are always coming up to me like, when's your girl coming out? We want to meet Jessie. She's so amazing and all this stuff. And I'm like, I know.
Oh gosh, you put a ring on it and you're married, so it's got to be on.
I know, yeah. Couldn't stay away.
Actually, related to that, obviously, you're getting married. A friend of mine, Paul and Leanne, they're due to get married during this year, and they've actually decided that they're going to have Halestorm songs at their wedding.
A lot of people have been using Here's to Us.
How do you, I don't know the exact track, I know they're playing quite a few, I don't know what their actual dance to is, but how do you feel about the fact that your music's being used at weddings? Because it's such a special occasion.
So cool. Even my dad just got remarried last October. Actually, it's really funny. I was so bummed I wasn't able to make it to his wedding because we were in the middle of making our record. But I did go to he had a pre-reception with all the family. We went to that, but we didn't actually get to go to the ceremony. And it's funny because my girl and I spontaneously got married. Well, here's the story. We spontaneously got married in Vegas. I flew to L.A. And it was so funny because we were just going.
So it wasn't a planned wedding? Not on that.
Well, it was planned. I was engaged. But then later on in the year, as I was making the record, ask any touring musician. Maintaining a relationship when you're doing this is really tough.
I know this is tough.
And it was we went through a couple rocky times. We were like, is it worth it? Is it, once we saw each other, it's like, okay, yeah, there's nobody else. So I literally flew home to L.A. I saw my girl. And then that day, I was like, I really still want to marry you if you're cool with that. And she's like, well, why don't you marry me now? And I was like, okay.
Go now.
I'm like, yeah. So all right, we went to Burbank Airport, flew to Vegas, got married. Corey Taylor's wife, Stephanie, helped us out because she's, she lives out there. And I called up Stephanie. I was like, hey, we need 2 witnesses. Do you want to come to our... And she's like, when are you landing? And she was there. She had it all planned out, all figured out. She picked us up. She was amazing. And then, but a couple weeks later, we had the actual, ceremony for the family, But the funny thing is that I got married the day after my dad did. Totally on accident, So my stepmom was the only Mrs. Hale for a day. And I was like, oh, sorry, we stole your thunder. But But yeah, it's funny because they used Here's to Us for their wedding too.
And they use us for
And a couple people have sent me messages on Twitter and on Instagram.
Yeah.
Hey, I used your song at our wedding, and I was like, oh, that's so cool, man. You know, yeah. I came down the aisle to Enter Sandman by Metallica.
Really? Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, we kind of made it a little bit funny. Then after we got married, we left the altar and walked down to the theme from Ghostbusters. You know, who are you gonna call? And we're like dancing. It was like a really fun party. Well, that's awesome.
I like the end of that.
I am kind of a big kid, and I do love the animated kids. My wife and I go and we went and saw the Lego movie in the theater. We saw the SpongeBob movie in the theater. The Lego movie's good. SpongeBob, whatever.
Lego movie kicks off.
I want to see that movie Home. That's coming out. I don't see how that good. It's the guy from Big Bang Theory.
Oh yeah.
Sheldon.
Yeah.
He plays the voice of the and that dude's funny. So anyway, sorry.
Back
to the band stuff. We've been just rambling here.
I could carry on for ages. So you've had Rob Fenn travelling with you since, well, quite a number of years now.
Yeah.
He's got
you know Rob?
I don't know him personally, but I've seen a lot of his work.
Really great.
He got the photo album, or the photo shots of all the stuff to Hale and back. What was it like having somebody, I know he's quite a good friend of yours, so did that help with the connection with obviously taking photos while you've been on tour?
Yeah, it was fun. The cool thing was that, we were, we got to know him first before we took him out. We just became really good friends, and we were like, hey, this is we were doing our first headline tour around the world. We were literally starting in the UK, in Europe, Scandinavia, Russia, Japan, and then back to the States. So we took him out for that. We literally did a lap around the world. Like literally, so we're like, well, we should document this because this could be something special someday. So, and he was available, so let's take out Fenn. And the cool thing about taking him out is that we felt like we could really let our guard down, which was probably in the long run probably a really bad idea because
really good photos.
Because there's some photos in there that I was like, oh, I don't remember that. Yeah, I was pretty. We really kind of let our guard down. So you're really seeing a very true side of the wacky world of Halestorm at that point.
I think that's important because obviously, I know when you're on stage and you've got that stage aspect of it, but to be able to, for fans to be able to see that behind the scenes side of you as well. And I noticed on your website, one of the very few bands that actually publish all their question and answers. Do you find that that's quite important for you guys to keep in contact with the fans?
Oh yeah, we do it all the time. And anytime I got downtime, I'm constantly on Twitter. It's addicting. It's like really addicting. Instagram. I think it's really important. I think it's like that's kind of like the way it is now for fans, and I think it's cool. I mean, like when I was growing up, I never had a direct link to like my favorite and be able to actually contact my heroes, and not that I'm saying that we're anyone's hero, but people have come up to me.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've seen the comments.
That's the most surreal thing, because like we're the same goofy, dorky kids we've always been. But people come up to us and they're like, dude, because of you, I want to start a band, or I want to play drums, or play guitar, or do whatever, And I'm like, man, I remember feeling that way, and that's how the song Rock Show was written. Yeah. It was like, wow, that's a real feeling when all of a sudden you're somebody else's inspiration. That's just, it keeps you going. It makes you, it's a trip, It
keeps you going as well for knowing that you're carrying on, carrying on the legacy of other people.
Oh, unbelievable. Such cool kids.
So you've got your new album coming out in April, Into the Wild Life.
Yeah.
And you've had a lot more touring, released two new singles and an audio single. How are you feeling about everything? Yes, that is the full list of everything.
That's what's happening?
The end of That's what's happening, just in case.
I don't pay attention.
There are so many things.
Whatever.
I'm not surprised with the amount of things you've got going on. So, how do you feel about all the new album Into the Wildlife? And
I'm super proud of it. Super duper. Just stoked that we got to go in the studio and really kind of dig in and get our hands dirty. And the cool thing about doing it this way, I feel like we had a lot more freedom in the studio. Just our first two records, we really didn't know what we were doing. Second record, we knew a little bit more, but we were still kind of by the time you get to your third record, you kind of start to feel a little more confident, and that you can actually go in and and for this record, we got close with Strange Case, but we wanted, we were just ready to shake things up and try working with different people and different writers, different producer, and we worked with Jay Joyce, and he was really great at kind of understanding what we were all about. Because we've always been a live band, you know. You come up to a Halestorm show, you'll hear,
it's the live,
you know, I mean, we're one of those rare, weird bands out there that still doesn't like to use backtracks or trickery or samples and you know, like we're just completely a raw. It's just four people making music, you know. And you know, it just kind of like, you know, it makes me sad that it's so easy for any band to sound incredible live because they can just play along to a tape. You know, and I feel like that's kind of, you know, and if anything,
the sound that you get on the album is a sound that, if you come to a live show, having heard your albums and been to your live shows many times, the sound you get on the album is the sound you get on the live shows. I think that's really important for a band to be able to do that without having all the extra stuff.
Well,
just you guys enjoying it.
I think a lot of bands, they depend on that stuff because they can't, because there's so much going, like you know, so many records nowadays are so mass-produced, like like so much stuff going on that they have to like play an orchestra of sound behind them to reproduce the sound on the record. But and if that's your thing, whatever, you know. But that's cool. But you know, we've always just been the kind of band that we just like to. It's just four people making music. What you see is what you get, and I think that. You know, I feel lucky because that's the kind of audience that we attract, is people that love to come out and just hear real music. So going in to make this record, we wanted to stay true to that, and we just wanted to, you know, so we literally set up in the studio in the middle of this big church that Jay owns. It's awesome. It's so big. It's so cool. Brilliant. We just set up and we just jammed live, like in the big room. And we recorded it live, mistakes and everything. You know, it's just really more. I think it captures more of our personality and captures more of our live energy, you know.
So we're watching, obviously you got the two video releases, Apocalyptic. I'm sorry, I'm very bad. You say it.
Love that dog.
It's me who can't say the word. And then
that's a good one.
Both your video releases, you're alright. I believe there's a special guest appearance in Amen as well. Special guest appearance in the video. There's definitely someone in there.
There's someone in the next little cameo,
having a little bit of a shouting.
Future massive pop star is going to hit. She only did it because she worked cheap. We're like, we need someone to play a waitress, and I'm like, well the girl do it for free. So, and it's kind of cool because a lot of her fans were so stoked. They're like, oh my God, Jesse's in the you know. It was like, you know, so, it was for me personally, I thought it was a really cool thing to do for the fans because, you know, our fans love them, their fans like, all of our fans are completely, merged together, you know, so we have this one big mishmash of a mutual fan base, so that was just, it was really exciting for our fans, and they were like, oh, that's awesome, because they know about her, and then her fans were like, oh my God, so it was fun, and she got to like, kind of like yell at me in the video, she was like, oh, finally, take some aggression out on me.
So having listened to those songs, and obviously if hopefully they follow on with the rest of the album. Do you feel that this album's more obviously life rather than relationships and moving forward as you guys have got older, lyrical-wise rather than the actual musical stuff?
No, I think lyrically it's a lot more, you know, with the first two records we were kind of, at the point in the beginning of our career where we were still kind of trying to fit in to what was going on already on the radio, and a lot of the songs were just kind of, you know, written just because, this is a subject matter that's popular and that will fit in, you know, and it worked, you know, it got us on the radio, got our name out there, but now with this, I think with every album we get a little bit more honest.
A bit more of you.
You know, you get to hear a little bit more of our personal, you know, things that we go through, and I'll tell you what, a big part of our lives is our fans, you know, because we're on the road more than we're on the road like 10 months out of the year.
Looking at your tour dates, it's like, you know, every other day in March, every other day in April. I think you get, at the moment, whether it'll get booked up, a little bit of time off in August. A little bit of time off in August.
I think our booking agent's trying to kill us. So a lot of the songs are directly inspired by, like, you know, messages that we get on. I mean, I'm always getting messages on Twitter, and I always read them, and a lot of fans will bring letters to us. A couple of fans a couple like younger fans wrote me some handwritten letters saying like, hey, you're inspiration, and and a lot of times I've actually got a few letters about because I'm lyrically and also just like I'm pretty open about the things that I go through in my life, and everyone's kind of aware of how hard it is being away from the ones you love and being on tour. And so I've gotten a lot of letters from people, and I've gotten, and I actually have a bunch of friends that are like, that do that, not kind of what we do, but I know a lot of people in the military. One of my good buddies is in Afghanistan. He's our old engineer's daughter's husband. He's out there in Afghanistan, and he's got a little baby at home and a wife, and and I went to go visit them, the Plotnik house, and she just looked really, it was, you could tell that it was heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy on
especially because there's like no way of communication.
Yeah.
And so I looked at Jesse. I was like, man, like we should be thankful that we can at least communicate, even though I'm away all the time.
Yeah.
So a lot of it, a lot of people can relate to that too.
So you got any wise words of wisdom, as long into your career now? Any wise words of wisdom to encourage those new up and coming bands, and how for them to help them get their big breaks? Anything? Apart from touring lots.
Have a good time all the time. No, I'd say it's hard to say because God, we only know the way that we've done it, but there's so many ways of doing it now, and I'd say, just make sure that you love it, because it's going to be a lot of work, and but if it's a work that you love, you'll put in 110% of your effort. Play as many shows as you can, write as many songs as you can. It all comes down to the song. Make sure you have a really good singer. That helps, and a good drummer. And, that helps
he likes
too.
drum solos.
Right? No, that doesn't matter. It'll not make or break anything. But I just say I think now in this day and age, there's a lot that bands can do on their own. Now with the social networks, the Kickstarter thing works for a couple people. Stuff like that. So I'd say just play around as much as you can. Try to build up your fan base. And just be on it. You got to connect with your fans. And you got to and that's kind of how you build a relationship and build up a fan base, is just by
connecting with
being cool and connecting.
So thanks very much for talking to us. Last one, tell everybody your album and why they should go buy it.
Okay.
Out in April.
We have a new album coming out on April 13th called Into the Wildlife by Halestorm, and you should buy it because I said so.
I like that, Reed.
And you'll like it. You'll love it.
Thanks very much for your time and enjoy the show.
Thanks for taking the time.